Okay, let's be real for a second. Staring at that blank page for a big essay, yeah, it can be pretty intimidating. But that's exactly what we're going to change today. We are going to build a complete, step-by-step roadmap for writing a researched argument about culture that doesn't just pass, but actually earns a perfect 100%. So let's demystify this whole thing together.
So you might be wondering, what does a flawless, honest-to-goodness 100% essay actually look like? It can feel like this big, unsolvable mystery, I know. But I promise you, it's not some kind of magic. It all comes down to having a clear plan and, knowing the rules of the game.
And here's the biggest mindset shift you need to make. Stop thinking of the grading rubric as a test. It is not there to trip you up or catch you making a mistake. It's the exact opposite. The rubric is basically the answer key. It tells you exactly what you need to do to get the grade you want.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll start with the big picture, the roadmap to 100%. Then we're going to zoom in and crack the rubric's code. After that, I'm going to give you a literal blueprint for every single paragraph. We'll also cover the secrets to weaving in your sources perfectly, and we'll wrap up with that final polish that takes an essay from good to great.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, the roadmap to 100%. Before you can even think about writing, you have to know exactly what it is you're supposed to be building. So let's get super clear on the assignment itself.
So here's the core mission. You're writing a 5 to 6 page researched argument. The topic? It's an aspect of your culture. And that's broad. It could be your ethnicity, gender, or religious community, or even a social norm from your workplace. The goal is to defend a strong original claim about it, and you're going to use 4 credible sources to back it all up.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, cracking the rubric's code. Now pay close attention, because this is maybe the most important part. We are going to translate all that professor speak on the rubric into a simple checklist you can actually use.
Think of this slide as your secret weapon. For full points, your title, intro, and conclusion have to be genuinely original and insightful. Your thesis? It needs to be a super clear, arguable blueprint for the whole essay. For content, you have to go way beyond just summarizing your sources. You need to provide your own sharp analysis. Originality means your voice, your critical thinking, is the star of the show. For source integration, you've got to seamlessly use the ICE method. We'll get to that. And have perfect MLA. And finally, conventions just means your writing is polished, professional, and error-free.
All right, so now we know what the rubric is looking for. Let's get into the how. Section 3 is your perfect paragraph blueprint. We're going to build this thing brick by brick.
So your introduction has 3 simple jobs. Job number 1, hook the reader. Start with an engaging opening that sets the stage for your cultural topic. Job 2, briefly preview the 2 or 3 main reasons you're going to use to prove your point. And job 3, end the paragraph with that powerful, clear thesis statement. Get this structure right, and you've set a perfect foundation.
Now, for your body paragraphs, I want you to use this 4-step formula every single time. 1. Start with a strong topic sentence that links right back to your thesis. 2. Bring in at least 2 pieces of evidence from your sources. 3. And listen up, this is the absolute key to an A. You have to analyze that evidence, explain how it proves your point. Don't just tell me what the source says, tell me what it means for your argument. And finally, number 4, wrap up the paragraph with a sentence that ties it all back to your main claim.
The counterclaim paragraph. This is where you really get to show off your critical thinking chops. You start by respectfully bringing up a valid objection to your argument. You can even use a source to explain this opposing viewpoint. But then, you pivot. You clearly and confidently explain why that objection, while it might seem reasonable, is ultimately flawed or just doesn't weaken your main argument.
To finish strong, your conclusion needs to bring it all home. Start by restating your thesis, but say it in a new, fresh way. Then give a quick summary of your main points and your rebuttal. And here's the final touch. And with a powerful, reflective thought. Ask yourself, so what? What's the bigger lesson here? Leave your reader with something to chew on.
Okay, on to Section 4, source integration secrets. Getting this right is absolutely non-negotiable for a top grade. But the good news is, it's actually a lot easier than you think once you learn the right technique.
And that technique is the ICE method. It's so simple, but so effective. It stands for introduce, cite, and explain. Here's the number 1 rule. Never, ever just drop a quote into your paragraph out of nowhere. First, you introduce it with a signal phrase like, as scholar John Smith argues. Then you provide the quote and cite it correctly. Finally, and this is the part everyone forgets, you have to explain why it matters and how it connects to your point.
And just a quick reminder, the assignment has some very specific source requirements. You need 4 sources total, 1 video or podcast, 2 from a library database, and 1 from a credible internet source like Google Scholar. And here's a crucial detail. You have to cite each of these 4 sources at least twice in your essay. Don't forget that part.
We are on the home stretch, Section 5, the final polish for an A. This is all about making sure your presentation is just as strong as your argument. These are the little details that separate a B+ from an A+. Let's talk about your voice for a minute. For this kind of paper, you need a professional, objective tone. That means writing in the third person. Using phrases like I think or I believe actually weakens your argument because it sounds like it's just your opinion. Instead, let your evidence make the case for you. You also want to avoid talking directly to the reader by using the word you.
So, before you hit that submit button, run through this final checklist. Is the page count right? Is the font and formatting perfect? Are all your MLA citations flawless, both in the text and on the works cited page? And most importantly, have you proofread it carefully? Don't let silly mistakes cost you easy points at the very end.
After going through all these rules, I want to leave you with this really important reminder. Yes, research is critical, but don't get lost in your sources. Remember that your authentic voice, your own original thinking, is the most important part of this whole essay. The sources are just there to support your brilliant argument.
And there you have it. You now have the complete blueprint for a 100% essay. You know the rules, you've got the structure for every paragraph, and you know how to polish it until it shines. So what are you waiting for? Go build your argument.